Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode at Hungry for More. I'm Robin Mons. This is my friend Jennifer Winder. And we are all about mindset when it comes to our behavior with food. We fill in that gap here where we tend to miss when we're wanting to make true transformational
Transformational.
transformational changes. That's the word. Nobody goes into, a health goal, a weight loss goal saying, I want this to be temporary. We want this
Right.
to be a lasting change we make. And this is where we feel that our work is so important, is to support you to do that through mindset. We tend to skip that part and just focus on the behaviors, and they'll work for a little bit and then we come back around. So today, we want to talk to you about the 3 steps that your brain has to go through to truly transform and for it to click in. So those 3 steps, they're more like phases of awareness that you're going to go through. So the first step, let's just dive right in. The first one is you're going to become aware when you first get started on making a change. You're going to become aware after you've already done it the wrong way, right? After you've done it the way you're like, oh, that's not what I'm wanting to do. There's so much value in the awareness around that, isn't there?
Right. Yeah. And you know what? This is often what spurs you to want to make changes anyway.
Mhm.
Right. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to stop doing that. Or why did I do that? And whatever that looks like for you. But it's usually an afterthought. Sometimes for people, it's filled with regret. I wish I hadn't done this. Some people say they feel shame, all the things that we talk about here. So it's the after the fact, and I think everybody knows what that feels like. It's very
Yes.
common.
Yes. And it's very critical during this part that you don't slip into the judgment and you don't say well, there it goes. I just screwed up, so I might as well. This, you have to say, wait, this is the first step of awareness. Of course, I'm still working to make these changes on a brain level. So of course there are going to be times that I don't even realize what I've done until after I've already done it. And if
Right.
you can grab hold of that and take it to where we're telling you, you can still make changes in your brain. You can still do work that's going to impact the pathways in your brain to support how you're wanting to transform.
Right. And I mean, it's the difference between saying, I'm going to say 2 statements and tell me which one sounds better to you. Oh, well, I did that, so I might as well eat whatever until I get back on track. Or, oh, wow, I did that. That is so interesting. Why did I do that?
Yes. Do you guys notice the difference? When you just say, well, I did that, so forget it until I'll just try again tomorrow, you miss out on the awareness piece. You miss out on training the brain and on doing the step that really takes it to the next level,
Right.
that really changes the brain. So let's talk about that. When and we have our clients at the beginning when they start, they'll come to the calls and say, okay, I did that, and then and they bring it and we treat it like watching game film. Why on earth, if it already happened and they already lost the game, right? Why on earth would we go back and review the game film if we've already made the mistake? If whatever, right? Why would athletes go back to watch the game film if it doesn't impact the result of the game by going back to look?
Right. Well, it's so interesting because the thing is when athletes go back to look, they're looking at what was going on in the moment when it happened, where there were gaps, where what the emotion of the moment was. Really, people make mistakes in sports when they're upset, when they're not, like all sorts of things. I remember I used to say to my husband, how come I can make free throws, but professional basketball players can't sometimes? You know what I mean? It's just kind of funny, but it's that repetitive practice. The best athletes, the very best, will always go back and watch their gameplay and learn from it.
Absolutely. And that's because there is such value in the awareness of going back and reviewing and then planning for next time, right? Making that
Mhm.
mental, a literal mental note. Hey, brain, next time I'm in this situation, next time this play is going on, we know that, you know, this is going to happen. They're going to go left. We know that with that player, we want to go right. It's the same thing with us. So it looks like and sounds like recognizing, like you said, more of a spirit of curiosity, like, whoa, okay, I just finished eating a whole bunch of this. And I until now, I didn't even realize like what I've done. Now, let me review what was going on. The first question to ask was, okay, was I even hungry when I started? And you can go back and say, actually, I wasn't. I just ate an hour ago and I'm really not hungry. Okay. Well, then what was going on? This is where we're pausing that game film and freezing it and going, okay, what was going on? Oh, I'm really stressed about this thing happening right now. And I tend to go to like the crunchy foods that I can just be aggressive with my jaw with it, right? Okay, I was feeling stressed and I'm seeing that that's the pattern. There's this automatic pattern in my brain that when I'm feeling this way, I tend to go to the food. And then to ask yourself, okay, next time, just like they're doing as they review the gameplay, next time we have this play, next time we play this player, next time we're in this situation, what am I going to do? And we always just answer with, before I react to food, I'm going to pause and check in. Right? That we can keep training our brain that the awareness we're shooting for is to be aware first of what's going on before we eat. But it's a phase. It happens in steps. You don't just decide, okay, from now on, I'm going to only eat when my body's asking, and I'm not going to listen to my. That is awesome to make that decision, but then you need to put these steps. It just making the decision doesn't make you behave that way, because we have these patterns that we've been having with food all this time that live in the brain.
Well, it's the same with anything. I want to be a piano player. I want to be a dancer. I want to be this. I want to be that. Nobody goes from wanting to be that to that.
Being it. Exactly. And I think the reason why we tend to have less patience when it comes to weight loss is because we've just been sold the quick results. We've been sold that it can happen overnight. We've been sold that you do these things and 2 pounds a week, 3 pounds a week are flying off. And as much as we love to see that, who doesn't love to see quick results? When our goal is truly sustainable and actual change, then we have to understand there's a law of nature that applies here, and we are nature, and we are not going to just overnight be that person. And that's okay. We can still get results along the way. You don't have to wait until you're fully that person to get results, but we just are not used to the mindset in this industry that it does require a consistent transformation.
Right. So let me ask you something, because I think that this is where most people start out, right? You're in this phase and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. So when you're moving along and you're going through this, that's our first thing, right? That's the first stage of awareness, when we're noticing it after
the fact. Yep.
So,
and doing mental work still, even after the fact, still going back.
You're still doing the mental work, because you can go back. I know, really quick before we move on, there was a book I read, and it even talked about when your day doesn't go the way you want it to go, or you react to a situation, whether it's with food or whether it's yelling at your teenager, or it doesn't matter.
Right.
Honking at somebody in the car next to you, whatever it is. When you get in bed at night, you kind of replay your day in your head the way you wished it had gone in that scenario. And then you're more likely, when that scenario arises again, because you've seen a different path that you could take with a different result from the awareness. So I think that goes right along with this. Watching that gameplay, you're kind of replaying, okay, very interesting. And let me just also say, it's not always from stress and from and whatever the reason. It can be as simple as going to dinner with your girlfriends, and all of a sudden you find you've just eaten 3 bowls of chips.
Yes.
Just chit-chatting, and you're like, why did I do that? My dinner came, I wasn't even hungry. So there's all sorts of reasons, which we address all of those. But
yeah, great.
So then we move along. Are we ready to move along?
Yes, we do move along. So even people who first start with us, in Mindset 60, within the first week or two, they have many times where they are aware before they remember, but then they aren't maybe in another situation, and they'll apply this awareness piece. And we always
Yeah.
reassure this, this is step one. So then step two, you'll notice that you'll move and you'll do less of that, where you're after the fact going, wait, what just happened here? Step two is you'll notice when you're in the middle of the action. I can't tell you how many times I would
It's
be
one
like,
of these.
yeah, I'd be like dipping my hand for the third time into the cracker box before, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, whoa, wait, hold on. I didn't check in. What's going on here? Right. And so that is super valuable. And that is the gradual next stage. And I remember like chewing something and being like, oh, blah, 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 and kind of spitting it out, not in a way of like, oh no, calories or whatever, but just really sending strongly a message to my brain of like, no, this is not what is needed right now. I'm interrupting this pattern and I'm setting it down.
Right. So step two is simply recognizing it when you're in the middle of it.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter if you've eaten 4 handfuls of chips or something. And I don't want to even say a particular food because it doesn't matter. Whatever it is you've eaten, but you haven't paused to check in and you went, what makes it change here is when you stop immediately. You don't go, well, I've already eaten
Yes.
75% of this, so I might as well finish it now.
Right. I'm glad you said that, because that is where the brain work is happening. On the first phase, it's going back to the game film with awareness and replaying it. The second one, you are going to do brain work. So your brain is at first going to say, well, we already consumed half the calories. We might as well finish the rest. Right. We already sabotaged. I know I'm not going to lose weight from what I've already eaten. And so I'm going to finish the rest of the serving. No, interrupting that in the moment you become aware and going, nope, walking away, because I recognize this is a mind hunger I'm responding to. You are doing work in the brain. You are making progress to lasting transformation with your behavior. It is not a lost cause. And so again, we tend to focus on the calories and all these things of like, well, that ruined what I was doing today. It already reversed. No. We are working at a brain level. And when you interrupt a pattern and choose a new way, you are making a difference in those pathways. So super important. Even if you notice when you have 2 bites left, stop, right? Make that choice, because it's the choice that's going to change the pattern. And then the beautiful thing is these things can they phase one into another. And again, it doesn't mean that when you're wanting to make change, every time it's going to be after the fact that you become aware. You're going to be aware and you're going to do things, but then you'll have these moments where you're kind of tripping up. And this is where this work is still so important. What's neat is when you start to notice that even before you react, the awareness is there.
Right, which brings us to our third step. Our third phase here is becoming aware before you eat. Making sure you take that moment to pause and say, okay, am I hungry? Do I have true body hunger? Not just, yeah, I could eat. And then moving forward. And that happens. It comes. By the time you've recognized this first phase of realizing it after the fact, and then you're practicing, and then you're realizing it during the fact, and you stop the behavior when you notice it. Eventually, that snowball just keeps rolling, and it rolls into the third phase, which is becoming aware before you even put one crumb in your mouth.
Yep. Before you react. And that's a fun, subtle, these are all subtle changes. They're not big earth-shattering things, but it's a neat thing to kind of go, oh my gosh, like I'm rarely doing things with food that I am not recognizing on the front end, know? And that was a huge shift for me. Huge. So this is the natural progression of true transformation. And that is what we're going for here. We're wanting at the brain level, make changes with food to support what we're wanting to do so that it's not this continual cycle and battle against our brains. Letting the brain shift and change and getting aligned with who we want to be and how we want to behave is not only the most effective way for lasting results, but it is such an aligned way to just be around food and brings so much peace around it.
Well, and this is what starts creating those new pathways in your brain. It's what makes phase 3, the third step, become more natural, and number 1 become less natural.
Exactly.
So for most, when we start, we've got it paved in, you know, we're just grabbing, doing whatever, but that all shifts, and it's okay. You're not going to be perfect 100% of the time. I'm not perfect 100% of the time, but I recognize it. Very rarely is number 1 part of me. Sometimes I'm eating something, I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing? And I can stop myself, but 1 almost never happens anymore. And that used to be my life, number 1.
Memory. It's like almost you don't recognize that. That was before on the game film. So it's possible, it's doable. It comes with practice and time. It comes with awareness and curiosity on that front end instead of, oh, well, or the guilt and stuff, or just throwing in the towel till tomorrow. These phases are very important, and they will be what transforms you in a lasting, permanent way. So if this is of interest to you, if this spoke to you, Mindset 60 is where we do this. This is where we do the work and coach you guys on this. And it's $1 a day, $60. So if for this reason alone, just moving through these phases and getting your brain to click in, that alone for the $60 would be worth it, if nothing else.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we'll put our link to Mindset 60 in the notes here, in a comment or in the notes, and we'd love to see you there. But yeah, be nice to yourself, be aware, be curious, and move through the stages.
And keep working on it. Moving forward is still moving forward. It doesn't matter the speed. So, okay. Have a great day, everyone. We'll talk to you later.